Hello, everyone. This is Jen from Find the Joy with Jen. Welcome to the second Divorce Hotline with Jen. I'm so glad you're here with me today. My first Divorce Hotline was absolutely incredible. The questions, the honesty, and the courage that you all brought to that conversation just reminded me exactly why I started this series. My goal is still the same. It is to help more people walking through divorce find hope, healing, and the courage to partner with God in their divorce journeys. And I'm so glad that you're here with me. I know I have been where you are. I know divorce is one of the hardest experiences you can go through, but I want you to know that you do not have to do it alone. These calls are here to remind you that even in the middle of uncertainty, the Lord is still with you and that joy is still possible, my friend, no matter what your situation is. Before we dive in, make sure you follow me on social media, wherever you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos and visit findthejoywithjen.com for free resources to help support you on your healing journey. I have had the privilege of coaching and mentoring so many amazing men and women through this process, and I have seen firsthand how powerful it can be to have guidance from a trusted source, someone who's been there, who understands the emotional, spiritual, practical consequences that happen with divorce. And there's so much. And I realize it affects every area of your life. And I want to just share my wisdom and experience and guidance any way that I can. But I also know, and I always remind you that every situation is unique and you really are the very best person, the only person actually, who can make the right decisions for your life. With the Lord's help, you absolutely can figure out the best decision for you. I'm here today to give you a little bit of help and support. A little bit of Jen juice is what I like to call it, that boost of hope, encouragement, and direction to help you take that next right step. Hopefully, I will shed some light on your path and remind you that you are not alone in this journey. That is my goal. So that's what my desire is here today. During this call, I will offer advice, mentoring, and for sure some coaching tailored to each question that is submitted. And my hope is that you will leave here with practical tools that you can use right away. There is a light at the end of this tunnel, that there is hope in your path, that the Lord will come in right where you are right now and help you and support you as you trust Him and you lean on Him, you draw close to Him in this process. He will help you get through this. I promise. I've seen it so many times. I've had it happen in my own life, and I try to help everyone else do the same. Turn to the Lord, deepen your faith, strengthen your spiritual muscles, grow stronger in this process, and learn some skills and tools and strategies to get leverage over your situation to help you do it better. So, if you want help beyond this call today, there's two ways that I can help and support you. The first is through my Faith-Filled Divorce Coaching Program. It's designed for men and women of faith navigating the challenges of divorce. And the second is through one-on-one coaching, which I offer to a limited number of people for deeper, more personal touch. You can learn about both of these options at findthejoywithjen.com. So let's get started with the call today. I am so excited to answer your questions, hear your feedback. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted your questions. I've gotten emails and messages, and I really look forward to diving in. I promise you, this is going to be an honest, faith-filled, hope-filled conversation. So let's get started. The first question that I have on the lineup for today is from Angel. She said, I've been thinking a lot about how complex blended families can be. I love my kids deeply, but I also care about building genuine relationships with my stepchildren. Still, there are moments when I feel tension, like my kids pull back a little when I show affection to my stepchildren, almost as if they're afraid of losing their place in my heart. I want everyone to feel loved and secure, but honestly, it's a delicate balance. So, my question is, what is the best way to build trust and unity in a blended family when loyalties and emotions are still tender from divorce? And how can I balance showing love and support to my biological children while also building genuine relationships with my stepchildren without anyone feeling left out or replaced? Such a good question, Angel. As someone who has been a step parent and had stepchildren, I know the situation very intimately. It's a delicate balance navigating step parenthood, second marriages, blended families. It's such a good one. I'm really glad you asked it. Blended families, I like to think of it as one of the most beautiful opportunities to grow in Christ-like love and to show Christ-like love. It's also one of the most challenging, but here's what I want you to remember. This is something that I learned from my experience that you don't have to split your love or your time or your devotion evenly. It's not like a pie and we're cutting out wedges for each person. It's like light, right? It just grows and expands. Just like when you go from having one child to two to three to four or however many, your heart grows, your capacity for love grows. You don't have less love for each child when you have more children. It's the same with step parenting and blended families. If you're open to it and you have this mindset, I have seen it go the other way where people just cut off affection and show favoritism, and it just causes so many problems and complications. I want to encourage you to expand your heart, to let the amount of love that you have for your stepchildren and your children open up and grow. Okay, the goal isn't balance, it's authenticity. It's a sincere, real, authentic connection with each of the children involved, stepchildren, biological children, right? So start by being intentional with each child. Give them your presence and listen sincerely and show them that you value them individually. Okay. The second piece of advice I would give you is to be patient with step parent and child relationships. It takes time for trust and love to grow, and you can't force it, right? But you can create a consistent atmosphere of safety and kindness and inclusion where that connection can really take root naturally. But it starts with your thoughts about it and the idea that you want to love all of them as much as possible. So, as you do all of this, really just have a lot of grace with yourself. Okay, you're going to make mistakes, emotions come up. It's okay. All right, don't expect superhuman ability here. Just keep praying and trusting that the Lord will help you through this. He is our ultimate example of how to love fully and fairly. And if you want some more help on this topic, I pulled up a few references that I want to give to you because I've discussed this a lot in the past. I actually have 3 podcast episodes specifically about step parenting and blended families. It's episode number 90, Best Advice for Step Parents. Episode number 130, Blending with Love, Building Strong Relationships with Stepchildren, and podcast episode 161, From Strangers to Family, Practical Tips for Connecting with Your Step Family. All excellent resources for more help and really more guided specific things you can do to help grow those relationships. But what I want to offer today is like a starting point. I want to be able to shed a little bit of light on exactly where you are and hopefully help you see the next right step for you, no matter what your question is today, no matter what you're dealing with, just to help you keep moving forward. So give yourself grace, keep leading with love, and trust that as you do your best, the Lord will help fill in the gaps. All right, next question. This is from Martin. I feel pretty confident that divorce is the right choice for me, but I'm having trouble reconciling this choice with my testimony of the gospel. How do you frame the eternal consequences and messiness that the choice of divorce creates for not only your immediate family, but generations to come? Does divorce really fit in God's plan of happiness? This is such a good question, too, Martin. One that comes up for everyone who goes through divorce, who is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and has a testimony of eternal families. It's something I have discussed many, many times with clients over the years. So I'm glad you brought this up. It's a good, deep spiritual question, and I love those. I just want to start by saying, I hear where your heart is. Like you're feeling the magnitude of this decision and you're not taking this decision to move forward with divorce lightly. And just that alone shows your faith and desire to do what is right in the eyes of God and to honor those covenants that you've made. And so I really respect that and recognize that. And I hope you recognize that in yourself. The truth is that God's plan has always been and really is ultimately about our growth and our agency, not our perfection, right? If you think of all of the families we study and learn about in scripture, there are a lot of broken families, a lot of hard things happen in families. Families split apart, brothers murder each other, and, you know, a lot of bad things happen. And divorce is not part of anyone's ideal scenario in any family situation, but it can be. And I have seen it be in my own life and many, many other people's lives, part of your personal growth, healing, spiritual development plan. When a marriage has become emotionally, spiritually, and even sometimes physically destructive, divorce is the only option to move forward in a healthy way. And I believe with all of my heart that the Lord does not delight in divorce, but he also does not find joy in seeing his children suffer in pain or fear or disconnection or isolation and stay stuck where they are, right? He cares more about your personal faith and testimony and growth than your marital status. And sometimes the way to move forward in any of those ways is outside of the relationship that you're in. The answer to that is sometimes divorce becomes the path that takes you to healing and accountability and a chance to rebuild a life that is aligned with truth and peace. It doesn't erase your faith or your covenants or your divine worth. It simply means that your story is unfolding differently than the one you imagined. But like I always say, this is not a surprise to God. What you're experiencing right now, the divorce, it's not a surprise to him. He is aware of all of our trials and struggles and difficulties, and he knew this would happen if this is happening in your life. So, as for the eternal consequences of all of that, remember that God is merciful and just and intimately aware of each of us and our personal struggles. He is intimately aware of our heart, our deepest desires, our prayers, all of our efforts to make things work, and the heartbreak and pain that we feel when our relationships fall apart. Eternity isn't a straight line. It's a process of healing and growing and progressing. And I truly believe that families can be restored and made whole through the atonement of Jesus Christ, even when divorce is part of that story. And they're just some things we won't fully understand in this life, and that's okay. We have to trust he will make all things whole. And yes, divorce can still fit in God's plan of happiness, not because divorce itself is happy, but because God can bring happiness through it. He can take what's broken and make it beautiful again, right? He can create beauty from our ashes. He can use our story to strengthen and bless generations to come with greater compassion and courage and faith as we endure whatever trials we experience, divorce being one of them, with faith and conviction. That is what is most important. And I also have a couple of podcast episodes on this topic that I want to recommend. Episode number 72, God has prepared you for this. And then the other episode on this topic is episode 118, You Are Not Alone. Jesus Christ is there for you. So even if divorce is part of your story, it is not the end of God's plan for your happiness. So thank you for that question. I love it. Okay, next question is from Mark. It's been almost 2 years since my divorce, and honestly, I thought I'd be further along by now. I've done therapy, I've prayed, I've forgiven in my head, or at least I thought I had, but deep down, I still feel a lot of anger and I feel betrayed. My ex made choices that shattered my trust and broke my family apart, and sometimes those memories just hit me out of nowhere. I can be having a normal day, and then suddenly the pain floods back. The lies, the manipulation, the loneliness, and I'm right back in a place of hurt. Part of me wants to move forward and find peace, but another part still wants justice or at least an apology that may never come. I feel stuck between wanting to let go and wanting them to feel what they put me through. I know holding on to anger isn't helping me, but it feels like if I let it go, it's saying what happened was okay and it wasn't. What do I do when I still feel angry and betrayed? How do I really start to let go when forgiveness feels impossible? Such a good question, Mark. And thank you for being so real about your situation and about the pain and anger that you feel. And I understand how you think it's gone and then it just rises up one day. And it's just such a normal part of this journey. Even when you've forgiven and you've moved on with your life and possibly even remarried and have a new family, sometimes those emotions resurface because our heart carries those wounds, right? We have scars, and that healing process happens, but we're never fully the same after it. So let me just start by saying that if you feel like a victim because you were betrayed and because of things that happen, then you probably were. You were hurt, you were betrayed, you were mistreated. The pain of that kind of betrayal is it's deep and excruciating, and I really relate to your feeling that it was very unfair. No one was treated more unfairly or cruelly than our Savior Jesus Christ. He was abused and betrayed and ultimately crucified. None of us will have to go through that extreme amount of abuse and hatred, but he has. We know he can understand how we feel because he was also betrayed and hurt. And it's okay to acknowledge the wrongs that you feel and the bad things that happen to you, to acknowledge that and to recognize they're wrong and they shouldn't have happened. But here's the thing. I want you to take an honest look at your situation and decide today that you're not going to stay the victim in your situation. Because here's the truth, friend. I say this with so much love. Feeling angry doesn't mean you're failing spiritually, but staying angry, dwelling on it, causes you real harm. When you indulge in anger or act out of anger, it hurts you and it hurts the relationships with people closest to you that matter most. And that is not what God wants for you. He wants freedom and peace and growth. So the goal isn't to pretend like you don't feel anger or betrayal or resentment. It's to acknowledge it and process it and release it in a way that leads to healing. And that doesn't happen on a call, doesn't happen with a quick answer to a question. It happens through learning the process of doing that and practicing it over and over. And sometimes it's not something that you can do on your own. Many of my clients come to me in your same situation and say, I'm stuck, I'm hurting, and I'm mad, and I don't want to stay here. And it's a beautiful place to be, to recognize you don't want to stay there anymore. So if that's where you are, there's a lot that you can do to move on from here. And I would recommend you check out my coaching program, Faithful Divorce, and get help letting go of that resentment and anger because it's a process. I also have some podcast episodes on anger and resentment. A couple that I want to recommend to you are episode 137, How to Let Go of Anger After Divorce. I share some powerful tools to help you release resentment and take back your peace. Another one, very specific, episode 84, How to Forgive Your Ex and Their Affair Partner. I will just offer to you that you're in a natural, normal place. This is part of the healing journey. Feeling angry, feeling upset, unsettled, it doesn't mean you're not healing. Recognizing what you're feeling, talking about what you're feeling, deciding you want to feel something different, that's really good, important steps in the healing journey. And when you invite the Lord into that anger, into all of that, those hard, heavy feelings, He can help you see the growth and the wisdom and gain compassion and peace and really let it go when you're ready for that. But you can't heal what you won't face. So part of healing is acknowledging, releasing, and then letting the Lord help you let it go. So I hope that gives you a good place to start. Emily says, I'm doing my best to hold things together for my kids, but it's been really hard. Before the divorce, church and family were such a big part of our routine. We prayed together, we went to church together, we had family nights, and now everything feels fractured. My kids spend half their time with me and half with their dad, and things are very different in each home. Sometimes they come back with questions about faith, and I can tell they're confused, not just about God, but about what it means to trust and believe when their whole world feels unstable. I want to teach them to keep their faith strong, but honestly, I'm struggling with mine too. I keep asking myself if I'm doing enough, if they'll grow up resenting the church or questioning everything we once believed as a family. This is such a great question. So ultimately, you want to know how to help your kids maintain their faith during the divorce, when they see their parents living different lifestyles and their faith has been challenged, basically. So, really good topic, so important. This comes up for so many people. Let me just start with this. The biggest influence on how your children respond to this divorce, the two homes, different parents having, different lifestyles or leaving the church, potentially living a different lifestyle, is you. How you respond, how you handle this divorce is the biggest thing influencing how they will respond. They're learning from you. They're watching you, your words, your emotions, your example in navigating this situation. They're watching you and they will learn from you. Ultimately, kids grow up, they get to make their own choices about how they want to live their lives, but it only takes one parent with a strong, anchored testimony, solid in their faith, to help kids find their bearing in the storm of divorce. So, what I want you to remember is how you handle this crisis, how you respond to the divorce and whatever happens with your former spouse, whatever they do, however they show up, whatever things they try to teach your children, how you respond to them is your choice. And the response you give, the way you show up, the way you respond, will have the greatest influence on their ability to adjust and stay strong in their faith. So, my advice to you is stay strong in your faith. Stay committed no matter what. Even if you're the only one leading family nights now, if you're the only one setting that example for them, no matter what your former spouse does, you stay true to your covenants and your relationship with the Lord. You can still have a strong family even after divorce. I used to always tell my kids, we are still a family. We're a family. It just looks different now. We don't live in the same home with your father, right? And then they had stepfather, and we had a blended family, and it looked different, but we are still a family. I found this quote. Elder Gene R. Cook once said, one spiritually motivated parent can successfully raise up a family to the Lord. That is you, my friend. That's you. The second thing I would recommend for you is to trust God's compensatory blessings. Okay. As you remain faithful, the Lord will fill in the gaps. Yeah, you can't replace the role of a two-parent intact family that hasn't ever gone through divorce. But as you honor the Lord and stay faithful to your covenants and do your best to give your children the best possible life, the best possible experience grounded in faith and testimony, the Lord will fill in the gaps for any holes that are missing. Elder Holland taught that when we stay on the covenant path, and we'll still see clouds of darkness lifted by the hand of our Heavenly Father, who is eternally committed to our happiness. So it doesn't mean we won't have rainy days, storms, clouds ahead. We have all of that. But when we need it, He will shine a light right in front of us to help us stay strong and keep moving forward. So trust the Lord's got you. He's going to help you get through this. The third thing I would say is practice forgiveness. It's really one of the most difficult parts of this whole process because we feel like it's for the other person. We feel like we're forgiving them. We're giving them this forgiveness, and it's for you, really. It doesn't mean you excuse what happened. It doesn't mean you just accept it. It means freeing yourself and your children from the poison of holding on to resentment. When you hold a grudge, you drink the poison and you expect someone else to die. Well, that's what you do when you hold on to bitterness and resentment. You're keeping that poison with you. I want to challenge you to find a way to forgive. And I have lots of ways that I help my clients do this, but think about it, pray about it, practice forgiveness. And then the fourth thing that I would recommend is just commit to grow better in this process, right? If you recognize this is a big challenge in my life, God has given me this challenge, or someone else's agency has caused this challenge of divorce and split parenting and split time with my children to be my trial, then step up to it, friend. Rise up to it. Decide, I will grow better in this process. Your children will see that in you. They will recognize that when hard times come, you don't run away or shy away from it. You step up to it and say, okay, I'm going to handle this with faith. I'm going to stay strong and committed to God, even though I don't see how this is going to end. And I'm going to grow better. I'm going to learn what I can through this journey by turning to the Lord. And remember, even though your children have their agency, they may choose to live a different lifestyle, to practice a different faith. You can do your best for them by staying true and faithful to your covenants and giving them an example of faith to hold on to, right? They need one, and you can be that example. And one thing that I love is that as you do this healing work, as you learn tools and skills and strategies in your divorce healing journey, they affect all of your relationships, especially your parenting. You can apply these skills, these tools that you learn in your relationships with your children, and it will bless all of your relationships as you do that. So continue to be that anchor in the storm for your children. I have one podcast that I wanted to recommend. It's episode number 145, Building a Foundation of Faith for Your Kids After Divorce. So I've specifically talked about that, and I give a lot more detail there. Just remember that you can't control what your kids believe, what they choose in their life. You can't control what your former spouse does, but you can control how you live, and you can live in a way that makes faith real and visible and something worth holding on to. The strongest lesson your kids will ever learn is how to live their faith when life gets hard, because you do. So that's my challenge for you. Okay, I have a question from Rachel. My question is, how do I stay true to my values in a dating world that feels so completely different from the one I grew up in? I never thought I would be dating again in my late 40s, and definitely not in this world. It feels like everything has changed since I was single. When I got married, there was no online dating, no swiping, no constant texting, no social media drama. But now it feels like the rules have completely shifted. Everyone seems so casual about dating, even people who call themselves Christian. It's like integrity, honesty, and commitment have become optional. I've had people ghost me, pressure me, and even question my standards as if holding on to my values makes me naive or unrealistic. And honestly, sometimes I wonder if I'm expecting too much. But deep down, I know who I am. I want to date in a way that honors my faith, my worth, and the kind of relationship I want. Still, it's hard to keep that hope alive when this dating world feels so different. Such a good question because you're right. The dating world has changed. It's a different world out there. And I think it's harder to trust anyone, especially after divorce, right? And it can feel discouraging. I get that. I want to start by saying your values aren't outdated. Okay. That's part of who you are. That's your character. That's your choice to remain committed to your faith and your religion. So don't believe that narrative that your Christian values are outdated. It's the world that's gotten louder, faster, more casual, more loose about love and faith. And your standards are what set you apart. They're not what hold you back. That's what's going to attract the right person for you is if you hold on to your standards. Staying true to them really helps you be authentic and grounded no matter what you encounter out there in the dating world. And I get it. It's easy to feel like maybe you need a compromise to fit in the dating world or with different groups, but the truth is it's not worth compromising your values to what? Meet someone who has lower standards than you. You will end up losing yourself. You will lose your values if you do that. So don't do that. I admire you for having them, and I want to challenge you to stick to them and not be afraid of boldly professing what you believe and why. Here's what I tell my clients navigating this season: be very clear about what matters to you. Know your non negotiables before you start dating and stick to them. That will help you weed out a lot. And trust the process, not the pace. You can't have this set timeline in mind that I'm going to give it a month or 3 or 6 or 12 or whatever it is and expect you're going to get this outcome. You're going to meet the right person or you're going to get remarried in a finite amount of time. Okay. Trust, you're going to stay faithful. You're going to be authentic to yourself. And you're just going to keep trying to connect with other sincere, righteous, faithful men and women in your journey, right? Don't put a timeline on anything. Don't try to keep up with, I don't know, how everyone else is dating, all right? Be intentional with your relationships. I like to say, look for eternal friendships. We don't know what relationship is going to ultimately lead to your next relationship. So look for valuable relationships with men and women, and potentially one of those could turn into your romantic partner, right? This season is not about proving your worth or trying to fit in in this dating culture or this world. It's really, when you're single, it's about protecting it, protecting your worth, protecting your values. Okay. You've already worked through enough heartache, my friend. You deserve a relationship that is with someone worthy of you, who has your same values, that is peaceful and aligned and Christ centered. So hold strong, my friend. Hold strong to your values. And I had a few podcast episodes on this topic. Podcast episode number 74, How to Date After Divorce. And there's another one right there with that one. I think it's 73, Dating, How to Know When You're Ready to Date After Divorce. And then I just recently did a 2-part series interview with Dr. Jennifer Finlayson Fife. We talked a lot about this topic, dating after divorce and in midlife and your sexuality at this point. And I highly recommend listening to those 2 episodes, episode 197 and 198. So check those out. They both go really deep into dating with integrity and honoring yourself and honoring your worth. You can definitely date with your values intact, okay? and still find real, lasting love. You just have to stay anchored in who you are and who the Lord is calling you to become, right? Our goal in this whole process is evolving into the best version of ourselves through our trials and struggles and challenges and through divorce. And I would just remind you to do that. Don't dim your light to try to fit in. The right person will be drawn to your bright light, my friend. We are out of time for today. This has been so good. I see several more questions that have come up, and I will answer those next time. I am so thankful for everyone who joined, who submitted questions, and I hope that you're leaving with more hope and clarity and a reminder that even in the middle of divorce, the Lord has a plan for you. I know that He does. I know that as you trust Him and tether yourself to Him, anchor yourself to Him and your covenants to Him, He will give you the strength and the guidance to get through this and even grow stronger in this process. You can do it. I always say, strengthen your spiritual muscles, deepen your faith, and grow stronger in your divorce journey. It's possible. And I would love to help you do it. If you want my help, would like to work with me, go to findthejoywithjen.com. I have lots of free resources there and learn about how we can work together. And if you like this video and you're watching on YouTube or any other social media platform, please give it a thumbs up and share in the comments what you learned, what you heard that stood out to you, what, maybe shed a little light for you today. And if you would like to submit a question for next time, you can email me, jen@jenzingmark.com. Thank you so much for being here, friends. Remember, joy is still possible if you choose to find it. Bye, y'all.